All right, all right. So this is the late night show with Sharif. Late night with Sharif. And we're back again. This is episode 4. And we got Brother Craig. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, but I know him as Brother Craig. So who are you? Who are you?
I'm your brother, Craig Khanwell. I am one of the co-founders of an organization called Vision Walkers, along with Jason Belton, who's also a co-founder. We're very active in this city and throughout the state of South Carolina and other states. And we are very involved in the marginalized, disenfranchised communities, getting them to become more politically active and more knowledgeable about how the political system works. Also involved in trying to make our communities a safe and decent place to live. We advocate on a lot of different functionaries. And if you go to our website, www.visionwalkers.com, it will give you a very in-depth overview of what we do. And because it would take me a long time to explain to you everything that we do in this podcast. So I wanted you to please look at the website, www.visionwalkers.com.
The Vision Walkers. And how did y'all come up with that name?
You know, there's a scripture in the Bible that says that where there is no vision, the people perish. And based on the condition of our people here in South Carolina and throughout this country, we see that we are perishing in every avenue of human indices. So we brought that out because vision gives you a way where you can properly see. And because we have been blind to the reality under which we live in America and throughout the world, it seems that those of us who have a little bit of light must shine our light and not hide it under a bushel basket. So we get together, Jason and we thought about what is it that our people need more than anything else. And that scripture came to mind, vision, because we're perishing. So That's how we came up with that name, Vision Walkers. Vision Walkers are those of us who have grasped the vision and decide to walk therein to make sure we shine a light in our communities where there's darkness, mental, spiritual, political, economic darkness.
Right. Man, that's deep. That's a good name. Good name. I got it now. I was wondering where it came from.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. So where are you from, brother?
I'm from Conway, South Carolina.
Conway.
And I've been in Columbia for quite some time now. I graduated from South Carolina State University.
Bulldogs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In 1980s. So that tells a little bit about my age. And been very active in Conway. It's one of those towns where we were very active. We had down there Reverend H.H. Singleton, who was one of the strongest black NAACP leaders in the country. And he did not play when it came to racism and oppression.
Right.
So that kind of sparked in us the sense of activism and being proactive when it comes to standing up for freedom, justice, and equality for all, regardless of class, creed, or color. So that was the foundation that I grew up under in his church, Cherry Hill Baptist Church. And I grew up in his church under his guidance in the town of Conway, where most of the young black people there and the elders were very, had a sense of militancy and socially responsible. So that is a backdrop that brought me up in that kind of vein of thinking. So still to this very day, from 50-something years later, I'm still very active in terms of the civil rights, human rights, and freedom, justice, and equality of our people.
So you was on the front lines for the, I want to say that was
1989.
89
Football.
boycott.
Yeah.
Football boycott.
Yeah. Although I had finished playing at that time, but I
Right.
did help to organize it along with Reverend H.H. Singleton, his son, Harry Hank Singleton III, and many others at that time. I was very involved in it. Also helped to organize the Million Man March bus trips to Washington, D.C. in 1995 when I was down there in Conway as well and throughout the state. So I was very active in that as well.
Yeah, I remember. So, yeah, I definitely remember you when I was a kid. I grew up in Conway. I came to Conway when I was 7 and left when I was about 15, 16, and came back a couple times here and there. And my mother and stepfather, man, they speak real highly of you. But also the kids in the community, You probably know him as Michael Asbury
Yes, sir.
and
Yes, sir. With
Chris
Mike.
and all
Yeah.
of them.
Yes, sir.
And they used to always talk highly of you and always just say you need to come around and everything like that and hear you speak and everything like that. So it was a blessing to get you here. So how was it growing up in Conway? I know what Conway is, but for the people out there, can you tell us a little bit about Conway? We like to know where everybody's from in South Carolina and what Conway is known for, and was it easy growing up? And I know you've been a civil rights organizer and been under Reverend H.A. Singleton, so you probably can tell us a lot more about Conway that I couldn't tell. Yeah. About the history of Conway, so we want to hear about that.
Well, Conway is one of those small country towns, and everybody knows about Myrtle Beach. So everybody knows to go to Myrtle Beach, but particularly back in the day when there wasn't many routes to Myrtle Beach, you had to come through Conway on Highway 501 to get to Myrtle Beach. It is the county seat of Horry County, which Myrtle Beach sits in. And in that town, there's about a 47% black population. Since then, I think the snowbirds who moved down from the north have grown the white population there to a higher degree than the blacks. But it's one of those towns where there was a lot of subtle racism and overt racism that was going on, particularly when I was growing up. It may have changed some now. I don't think so. It might be worse. But there's a lot of racism going on there. And we were fortunate to have a brother like H.H. Singleton who called into existence those spiritual warriors to stand up for our people in a time where not many were standing. Particularly in the 1970s and the 1980s, black folks were more fearful at that time, but not in Conway. Conway would stand up, stand out, and show out when it was time to stand. The black folks there, they were not afraid, because Reverend Singleton's fearlessness, it kind of punctuated in us a desire to be real men and women who had no fear against the forces of evil. So I kind of grew up around that environment, but also we had some Caucasians there that were really fair people. But everybody wasn't bad. Everybody wasn't wicked. There were a lot that were trying to be helpful behind the scenes, and some of them were overtly helpful. So it's a town that really, at that particular time that I grew up, it seems that back then the races were a little bit closer simply because they knew they couldn't just do anything and get away with it. And I think that causes people to have better relations when a person knows that you will take a stand for what you believe in. But when you act out in a very kowtowing, buck dancing way, you get abused. You get mentally abused, you get physically abused, and emotionally abused because you refuse to stand up and you put in the minds of the oppressor that it's okay to oppress the oppressed. And if you put that in their minds, they don't have the kind of mindset where they figure they're doing wrong, they're going to stop doing wrong. That's not the mindset of the oppressor. His mindset, if you allow me to oppress you, I'm going to crush you. If you're not going to fight me back, I'm going to continue to put my foot on your neck until I break your neck or drive you into the cemetery. So we as a people, we have to stop playing. We play too much. We're not serious enough about our lives, about the lives of our children and their future, because we seem to want to have more fun than be more serious about what is actually going on in our communities throughout this country, particularly in the state of South Carolina. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you speak on Reverend Singleton. He was my science teacher.
He was mine too, man.
He was my science teacher, and I was in, when the boycott happened, that was we didn't even get to be in his class, but maybe, I want to say 3 weeks or something like that into the, when they fired him and everything like that. And I always remember, he was fired up and ready to go.
Right.
Yeah, he was a really good guy. Used to have a lot of conversations with my mom in the yard on Saturday morning. He touched the community. Yeah. Real blessed to have him and you. Now, Brother Singleton also, I want to say he was in politics too. Or he ran for mayor?
No,
he didn't run for mayor.
But he did participate. He didn't run for any political office, but he helped those black political leaders that wanted to run get elected.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I do it here in Columbia and throughout the state of South Carolina. I try to help because I'm not interested in running for office.
Right,
But I
okay.
definitely want to help those who have the mindset to want to run and fill those positions and get in there and stand up for our people.
Right.
Now, if you ain't trying to stand up for our people, then I don't give a damn if you get in there or not.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, can I say damn on this?
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and that's one of the things about politics, man. Politics is power, but it's power that can be used improperly if people are motivated for their own personal agenda.
Right.
So what Reverend Singleton did and what I tried to do here is to find those who want to get into politics that has the mind and heart for their people.
Right.
Every community elects officials in office that go in there and do the will and the bidding of their community from which they come.
Okay.
We put people in office and then we act like these political leaders that we put in office are celebrities.
Right.
We don't hold them accountable to make sure when they get in there that they do the will of the people and not the will of those outside of our community.
Right.
That's why we are lagging so much farther behind than other communities. The dang on Mexicans just got here, the Asians just got here.
Right.
Here we've been here over 400 years, and these people have more political power than we have.
Right.
The Koreans got more political power than we have. Of course, the Ashkenazi Jewish community have more power than about everybody because they're so united.
Right.
But what we do, we put them in office, leave them there. Don't check up on them to find out what they're doing, what bills they're passing, what agenda they're pushing. And then when they come around us, we treat them like celebrities instead of, look, man, what's going on in there?
What's going on?
Okay, what do we need to do to help you to push this agenda?
Right.
And when they don't push that agenda, we need to punish them for not pushing that agenda by getting their behinds up out of office and following them in the community and say, look here, you're not wanted here no more. Because we have to hold people accountable, brothers and sisters. We cannot be afraid to force people to bend to our will when we put you in office. So that's one of the things about politics, that we have to learn how to use it properly and not just clap when we got a black mayor or a black governor or a black president and be cheerleading on the sideline. But when they get in office, all the good stuff that's happening for other communities, they push that. But when we ask them about reparations, they silent.
Okay.
You know, but that's why we don't have reparations, because we don't demand it.
We don't demand it. Yeah. That's the same thing I said. So piggybacking off of that, so this is election year.
Yes, sir.
Of course. What's out there right now that young folks, what's the motivation for young folks to go and vote in 2024? Because I talked to a lot of young folks, and either they're not going to vote, they like Trump because they saw a couple of dollars that we're paying back. They don't realize that we're paying the money that they gave and why they gave the money. They don't realize, why that was. They just saw some dollars and, could be on unemployment and not have to, pay that back, and the PPP loans. They don't understand how many people had to die and, and what happened to make that come about. And so they're just looking at it like you were saying about from a celebrity point of view instead of a real point of view. But why is it important for them to vote? Because I even heard we had somebody on here and they said, well, the vote don't count in South Carolina for president anyway. And a young lady was trying to explain to them that, it's the stuff under that really counts and stuff like that. And don't be discouraged by the fact that that no Democrat, and I'm not trying to tell you to, what you are. I'm not trying to ask you that, but I'm an independent, but I've never voted Republican.
Right.
But my thing is they're discouraged about voting.
And I understand why.
And okay, yeah, I just wanted to see what your
I
feelings
understand
was
why.
on that.
I'm a card-carrying Democrat, member of the Democratic Party, because that's where our people are. The masses of our people in the Democratic Party.
Exactly.
So if you want to affect change among our people, then you need to be where they are and hopefully give them some different direction than what they may be hearing from the status quo members of the Democratic Party.
Right.
But all of it is going to be contingent upon our level of knowledge of how the political system works, our access to the people, and the people's willingness to listen to and take under consideration what you're saying in terms of how they should pool their resources mentally, spiritually, collectively, financially, and physically to make the change that are necessary to get political power. One of the problems we have, and our children are seeing it, and our children's children are seeing it, and we have seen it, is that once we get black politicians in office or white politicians who are Democrat that we favor, it doesn't seem to trickle down to the community at large.
Right.
But that's a part of that is our fault.
Right.
Again, we don't place demands on them.
Okay.
We don't ask for nothing. Look at the LGBTQ community.
Right.
Came out of nowhere, got all this power now. Politicians dance to their beat. Politicians dance to their tune. Whatever they say goes because they are united.
Right.
We don't have the unity that is necessary among ourselves to apply the kind of pressure that we need to apply. So I would say to young people who don't want to vote, and I'm not saying you should vote for a Democrat or Republican, but I think you should look at those candidates that are running, get together collectively with other young people who are thinking about politics and the way that they should engage it, and find out what do you want from the political system.
Right.
And then place demands upon those candidates that are running for office.
Okay.
And then see if they will meet those demands. And that's how you decide whether they're Republican, Democrat, or independent, what candidate you should support.
Exactly.
And that's been our problem. We don't do that. We just give our vote away. For instance, like this year, one of the major problems that's coming up is Project 2025. That seems to be the buzzword
Right.
now.
I was just reading up
And
on
they're
that
telling
today.
everybody, Trump going to implement 2025, which is going to be a lot of the stuff that's in there is very disadvantageous towards our community.
Right.
But we shouldn't just become so afraid of Trump that we, out of fear, vote for Democratic candidates.
Yeah.
Placing no demands on the Democratic candidates from our perspective of what we need as a people and as a community.
They need to earn the vote.
They got to earn the vote too. We don't make people earn our votes. We give it to them. And then wonder why we get nothing in return because you gave nothing to them to earn your vote. You gave them no agenda, no black agenda. You gave them no agenda that will help revitalize our community and make it a safe and decent and prosperous place to live. Right. So we have to collectively as a people stop moving out of fear and come up with some solid policies that will positively affect our community and improve our quality of life. We can't just sit back and say, oh, Trump get in there, he's going to try to put us back in slavery again. Yeah. If Trump get in there, they're going to take this. They're going to take the civil rights laws. They're going to take the diversity and inclusion and equity out of the procedures and policies of hiring. All this stuff, fear. Our political leaders and our leaders in general have to give us something else to vote for candidates other than being afraid of the other damn candidate. That's not going to work. It's not going to work today. Not today. Not amongst the more young, enlightened youth of the day. Not among the millennials today, because they figure, hell, they've been in hell their whole life. Why are they afraid now?
Right.
So we have to, while we are considering what Project 2025 will do to us as a community, go to our Democratic candidates and give them an agenda that we demand that they support, not 4 years later, this election cycle. Demand an agenda that they will support. And if they support that agenda, like reparations, why is it so difficult for black folk to get reparations when it ain't difficult for the Ukrainians to get hundreds of billions of dollars when they ask for it? Preach. They ain't built this damn country. We built it.
Preach.
Why is it so difficult for black people to get reparations when Israel gets hundreds of billions of dollars when they want it? They didn't build this country. We built it. So why should we act like we so damn afraid to demand, after all that we built in this country for 400 years, 310 years of free labor, that's why they're so rich, free labor for 310 years. And we can't get a damn dime for reparations? That's our fault, brothers and sisters. And here we are again. We got certain grassroots organizations talking about reparations, but we don't have too many elected officials that will get behind that agenda and force it in the House of Congress. So we lack courage, organized courage to put pressure on our political leaders, black or white. If you want our vote, this is what you got to do. And force them to do it. And if they don't do it, don't vote for them the next time. I mean, that's just what we got to do. So nobody should have the power to tell black folk in America that you don't deserve a dime for what your fathers and your great-great-grandfathers did in building this country. When we allow people to disrespect us like that, then we get what we earn. So I just hope that you young brothers and sisters find it in your heart to participate in the political process, because every law that sends you to prison or sends you to jail for the marijuana that you smoke or for the little bit of cocaine that you smoke, that's because of the political arena. They make those laws. 3 strikes, you in for life. That comes from politics. Ankle bracelets, that comes from politics. Everything that happens to us is political. So you got to engage the political system, but you got to engage it from an enlightened self-interest. And once you do that, that's one of the things that Vision Walkers does. We travel throughout the communities that everybody else is scared to go into. With our co-founder, Brother Jason, we have a sizable crew, army, political army.
Well, I saw you in 17 other states, right?
Yes, sir.
17 other states?
Yes, sir. And probably more than that. But we just fly under the radar on some of them. Okay. But we're definitely there. And but our base is right here in South Carolina.
Okay. So, you said that perfectly about the election and everything like that. So we're going to cut to a little small break. We're sponsored by Daniel Chestnut and the Peep This podcast, Real Raw Reflections, and we're going to take a break. Y'all check that out on YouTube and Facebook and and all your other outlets. We'll be right back. Thank you. All right, we're back to the late night with Sharif, and man, we got Brother Craig here, and he just enlightened us on a lot of different stuff. Like I told him, we only halfway through, but I did want him to touch on 2 things. Is you were telling me about a bill that we got to watch out for. You was just talking about it.
Project 2025?
No, not Project 2025.
Hate crime.
The hate crime bill.
Yes, sir.
We want to talk about the hate crime bill, and then we want to go into, after that, prison reform, because I know y'all help a lot of guys that are getting out of jail get back into the world and be able to take care of themselves and not go back. And that's something that I'm passionate about, because I get people out of jail, but I also do pretrial counseling.
Wow.
So that's big with me. My mother wouldn't let me do it any other way. When I told her I was getting in this business, the first thing she said is that while they going through what they're going through in the process, make sure you telling them, the mistakes that you made and everything like that. And so that's what we're gonna get into. We're gonna
we're a very enlightened woman. She's very enlightened.
She's deep. She's deep. But we're gonna let's talk about that. Let's go into that first. Vision Works.
Vision Walkers.
Vision Walkers. I apologize.
Right.
Vision Walkers. I noticed that in their bio that's something that they focus on, and something that I focused on. So I want to know what do y'all offer guys that just got out of prison or jail or whatever.
That is a very bona fide part of what we do. And it's a part that my co-founder, Jason Belton, is very much astute in. Mm-hmm. And I would like for you and brother to give him an opportunity to talk about that.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Because he's very on point, but not today. Right. I'll address it. But
yeah.
Prison reform, one of the things about prison, I've never been, but I do know, I've heard Brother Malcolm X, Brother Minister Farrakhan and Dr. Khalid Muhammad and others say that when you're in prison, don't do the time. Let the time work for you.
Right.
And while you're there, because it's so regimented, you can enlighten yourself through reading, writing, studying, knowledge of self.
Right.
Because one of the problems that we have that leads us into the prison industrial complex is a lack of knowledge of self. So when you don't know who and what you are as a black man or woman, and somebody else teaches you who you are that is other than yourself, then you begin to take on the mindset and the characteristics of what they made you to think of yourself. And then as a result of that, you begin to act in a certain way that is not proper. It's almost like what they say about a savage. And a savage is a person who has lost the knowledge of himself or herself and is living the life of a beast. So when you're walking around without knowledge, and you engage in activities of a savage behavior. You know, drive-by shooting, that's not a civilized person. Selling all manner of harmful drugs to your people, that's not the act of a civilized person. Beating the hell out your women, that's not the act of a civilized person. Because you only do that when you don't know who it is that you're harming, when you harm yourself and others that look like you. And most of our time, we end up in prison not because we are fighting against our oppressor. Right. We end up in prison because we killed another brother or our sister. We ain't hurt nobody but each other. Most of us got our guns, we got our gas, we got our AKs, we got our AR-15s, we got our Uzis, we got all of this. But we ain't shooting no enemy. Right. That's oppressing you and I. We shooting each other. Right. So so we feel in the prisons because of what we do to each other. So how do you reform that? Our people have to be taught a comprehensive, requisite knowledge of self that feeds your mind to the point of the power of your personal being that you don't want to harm your brother or sister. That's the last thing you want to do. That word, in the word brother, there's the word other. B-R-O-T-H-E-R, right? Brother. But in brother, you got other. Your brother is your other self. What fool will harm himself? Intentionally. Right. But when you kill your brother, that's who you're killing. Not let alone that you're killing another brother or sister that it took millions of years to come into existence. That's how long it takes for us to come into existence, brother. We ain't just pop up. Right. We came from a long lineage of parents and grandparents and great-parents, great-grandparents and great-great-great-grandparents and great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. All that's connected to our DNA that we are presently showing right now. Right. So you're killing the God. There you go. In yourself and your brother and sister. You are actually putting God to death when you kill your brother and sister. You're killing the originator of the heavens and the earth. You are killing the original man and woman. And we are under such attack by everybody else on the planet. We are killing our own army. Right. What if we on the battlefield as black men, right? And we are fighting against racist people or KKK or skinheads, and all of a sudden, brothers, you just turn the weapons on yourself, on each other, while you're on the battlefield. Right. You start just blowing each other's brains out while you're on the battlefield. It ain't friendly fire. That's insanity. So we look insane as hell to a world that knows they want our death. Right. We look insane as hell, killing each other every day, every night. Right. And we think that we're supposed to be respected. That's why we're not respected, brothers. And I'm saying brothers because most of this violence is coming from us, on each other.
So if you kill a black man, should that be a hate crime?
Well, we've been taught to hate ourselves, to
Right.
be honest with you.
Right.
It's self-hatred at the deepest of levels.
Right.
But a hate crime in terms of the way it's positioned politically and socially is when another group kills you and I because of the color of our skin,
Right.
or because of our religious belief, or because of whatever a creed we are.
Right.
So in that respect, black people in America should have been had a hate crimes bill passed, in which we
Right.
don't have one passed. But the Asians just got to America yesterday, and they got a hate crime bill passed where they're protected under the federal government statutes of a hate crime.
Was that stemming from all that stuff that happened, like in the nail shops and stuff in Atlanta?
A few years ago.
Right,
yeah, but what's been happening to us for over 400 years?
That's what I'm saying.
And nobody give up. We can't get a hate crime bill passed? When you beat the hell out of us for 310 years,
Right.
lynch us after after Reconstruction, take our lands. Look at Tulsa, Oklahoma. Look at Rosewood.
Wow.
We can't get a hate crime bill? Look what happened down in Charleston. We still couldn't get a hate crime bill.
Nope.
After that dude just walked up in there and killed 9 people in a church. We still couldn't get a hate crime bill? That's a moral disgrace. A moral disgrace. And we sit here justifying why we shouldn't have a hate crimes bill. Don't you know it takes a lot for black men and women who love our people not to react in an unintelligent way when we see this total and complete injustice? We have to hold our peace. If black people really lost our minds, we'd be killing people all over the place. But that's not who we are by nature. This man walked up in the church and killed these people while they were praying.
They were praying for him.
Yes. And he slaughtered them while they were praying for him. And still we forgave him, some of our people. Some of our people forgave him. And you know what he said to that? I ain't asked for your forgiveness. And if I had to do it, I'd do it again. That's what Dylan Roof said.
I'm going to cut in. It's asking for forgiveness from your oppressor or for somebody that harms you. Is that something that came about in slavery?
Yeah, that's what they taught us.
That's what they taught us.
Yeah, but they kill all their enemies. The very people that taught us that they don't pray for their enemies. Yeah, they came here to the land and saw the Indians sitting here doing all right.
Right.
They took the land and killed the Indians. They came and got us from Africa, killed us there, and killing us here.
Right.
They colonized the Africans, killed them there. And when they first got there, the Africans tried to show them how to take care of the land, how to do this, how to do that, and they killed them anyway. So they don't pray for them, but they taught us, slaves, be good to your master.
Well, some of my white friends, well, they're not friends, but I just
But there's some good ones out
some
here.
of the people that I go back and forth with on the internet or I've got one of my better friends, a white guy. We went to Walker Elementary School together, and my mom taught there. I was probably 1 out of 3 black people that was even in the school, and probably I know I was the only one in Conway. The other 2, I think they lived around Quail Marsh or something like that. The McIver, like that. Those. Yeah. So at Walker Elementary, my 2 white friends, one of them died in Busby Lake, Justin Ricks, but the other one, Russ. Me and him go back and forth all the time about different stuff. And he'd say, oh, no disrespect. They are. I don't mean any disrespect. But wasn't your own people that sold you away? So what do you say to when somebody says, and I've read that and stuff like that, but I don't know that to be true. But is that what happened? Is that how did we get from Africa here?
Those tribes, because they had tribal wars.
Right.
When the tribes fought each other, they would take prisoners and make them slaves to that tribe for a certain amount of time.
Right.
And they would become a part of the tribe. Then they would marry into the tribe.
Okay.
And a lot of times they were let free after a certain amount of time. The kind of slavery that was practiced among the Africans was not practiced like the chattel slavery we went through in America. So they used that by saying, the Arabs enslaved the Africans enslaved the Africans, then, they enslaved each other in Europe, but there was no slavery like the transatlantic slave trade, where people's name was taken, language was taken, their culture was taken, their religion was taken, their minds were taken. Not for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, for 310 straight years. And then during slavery, the slaves that had children, they separated the children from the parents. So nobody went through this. Y'all got to stop that, white folk. Y'all need to stop. Come on, if you going, nobody went through 310 years of this kind of slavery. You know that. But you tell us that to stop us from critiquing what you did to us. And because we either lack the knowledge or we are too dang on scared to death to tell you to your face, look, that is a bunch of bull. You know better than that. Nobody does this to somebody for 310 years and get free labor for 310 years. Black folks don't have our names no more. We got your names. Think about that. When you were enslaved in Europe, you still kept your name. You still kept your language. You got a whole nation of people, 40 million, that don't have their own name, can't speak their own language. It's so bad now, we don't even want our own names. Don't even want our own language. Lost our culture, and many of us, as Brother Dr. Collins would say, by the way we act, we even lost our minds. So, you can't compare that to what the African tribes did to each other. But they sold us to you, but they had no idea what they were selling us into. And they didn't even know where we went after y'all took us. Until years later. So they helped to do that, and they got a price to pay for that too. They should also give the black man and woman of America reparations. Everybody who participated in the transatlantic slave trade and the Jewish people who participated because they owned the ships. They did, and they owned plantations. Everybody that participated in that, they should give us reparations for reparatory damage. So don't let them pull that small time stuff on you, brother.
I never did, but I just wanted to see what your feelings was. I see that on the internet all the time.
All the time.
And the other thing, they want to wash slavery away. They want to say, oh, y'all still on that? Like that was a long time ago. Like, it wasn't me. It was great granddaddy.
Brother, they just 1865 was it? When they emancipated us, because they never freed us. Because emancipation is a different meaning than freedom. Emancipation means, it comes from the Latin word emancipare, which means to free from your hand, but not necessarily from your control. So they still controlled us because we just emancipated Negroes. We're not free, because if we were free, we would establish our own laws in our own nation, in our own land. We don't have that. So you're not free when you are under the very people that brought you in this condition. You're still subject to them. So we emancipated, but we really not free. So that's why when our entertainers or athletes get too big and talk too strong, they get called in. They get all of their endorsements taken from them. They get fired by their teams. They get shut down. Like poor little Kanye West went from being a $4 billion man to $400 million in 24 hours. How does that happen? How you lose $4 billion in 24 hours? So, they call us in because we really not free. They still control us. I don't care how rich you are. You're just a rich, very, very rich slave. And they'll show you that once you get out of line.
Still a nigga.
Yeah. But we got to give, and I thank God for white men like Jim Brown. Jim Brown? What was his name? What's the brother's name?
Jim Brown turned on us, isn't it?
No, I ain't talking about black. I'm not talking about the football player. The white guy who was a white dude who fought the slave masters harder than the slaves.
Oh, okay.
What was his name, brothers? Oh gosh, I can't.
John Brown.
John Brown.
Yeah,
that's
John Brown. Okay.
John Brown was my kind of dude, man. Because he loved freedom, justice, and equality so much. When he said, because white folks say, I don't see color. I said, well, you go do like John Brown then if you don't see color.
Fight for it.
Fight for justice for those who are suffering injustice. That's how you prove that you're a brother to the oppressed.
Right.
Because John Brown, he ain't see color. He really didn't say that. They say, I don't see color. John Brown really didn't see color. All he saw was human beings. And he saw one set of human beings oppressing and destroying another human being. He fought against those other human beings, even though they were his own kith and kin.
Right.
And that's how we got to be too, as black people. You know, just because we suffer by the oppressive system, that should not incite us to act unjust towards white people or any other people. See, justice don't know a color. We have to be so imbued with justice that we want everybody to have it. So we don't be unjust to a white man simply because he's white.
Right.
You know, if we wrong, we wrong.
Right.
Because right is right and wrong is wrong.
That's right.
However, knowing that we came up under the systemic institutions of white supremacy that have institutionalized us in the mindset of black inferiority, we have to take that into consideration when we see each other acting out.
That's right.
We have to take that into consideration. So white folks say, well, he did the crime, but you got to look at the whole totality of what made this person up. Right. And until you correct the systems and the institutions that brought this out of these people, then you can't really judge them. That's why the Bible says, judge not, lest ye shall be judged. For the judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged.
It's a trap.
Because we're not qualified.
It's a
because
trap.
you don't know the interloping factors that created the person that you're looking at.
Right.
So
that's why when I listen to trap music, but you know what I mean, I always ask people, do y'all know what the trap is? It's the inner city, and they put the little square right there where we want to keep everybody boxed in, and then they're gonna throw fried chicken in there, the Chinese food, and I eat some Chinese food too. I know that may sound hypocritical, but they throw in everybody else that's not us and give them money to open up shop in that square, and then they put the police. You know what I mean? And then they even put drugs, and they're gonna put a black church there also. And no disrespect to the black church, but some of the stuff is just crazy. And they put all of that in, and that's what makes up the trap. And a lot of it, and you know, it's trap music and all this kind of stuff, and everybody, you know, we love it and everything like that. But I always want to know, you know, what is the trap, and do you know what the trap is? You know, you're singing and rapping about it, but do you know what the trap is and what you can do to help people out of the trap? So we man, we're gonna have to do a part 2, because I got to get my other guest in, but I do want to run through some quick topics, okay?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then, you know, you just tell me how you feel about them. HBCUs.
I think they're still very needed. I think that we need to finance them more with more money where we can call the shots of the curriculum.
Right.
So all the money that our athletes and entertainers make, all our wealthy people, we need to pour more money into our HBCUs, but also set the curriculum where it's enlightened and enliven the students that it's supposed to serve.
Right. That's good. The band still rule, huh?
On HBCU campus? Yeah, they still rule.
Man, I think I saw a picture somewhere. You want to shout out your frat?
Of course.
Go ahead, shout them out.
They'll make it side 5.
Yeah, I saw a picture like y'all had a reunion or something, or y'all, maybe homecoming or something like that.
That was what is called a Grand Conclave. It's our national convention that we had in Tampa. And then the police officers were out on horseback and tried to run their horses through where we were, the place that was blocked off specifically for the Omegas. And then the brothers, you know, manhood is one of our first principles.
Right.
So the brothers stood their ground and started hopping right there where the horses were. They scared the heck out of the horses. The horses turned around and ran the opposite direction.
Crazy.
Oh, man.
All right, next one, 5% Nation.
Yeah, well, the 5% Nation, they get their knowledge. Most of their knowledge came from Clarence 13X, who got his from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam.
There we go.
So that's the root foundation of the 5% Nation. And their brothers, they started in New York, and they got their mathematics and science and supreme wisdom as well. And they've done a great job among the inner city youth. So I don't have anything negative to say about the 5% Nation. They are our brothers.
That's right. Chuck Jordan.
Coach Jordan.
What did you play on him?
I played under him.
Okay.
My senior year, I played under Chuck Jordan. Chuck Jordan is he's a strange figure because, in spite of he was charged with the boycott, years after the boycott, he took Conway to 4 straight state championships.
Right.
Because his coaching ability was excellent.
Okay.
He was a master motivator. He was a passionate coach.
Right.
He knew how to relate to the young men. But his upbringing in Conway, you can come up with a little white supremacy in you because that's Conway. But when he played football for Conway himself in the 70s, he was a little white guy. But he was nasty. That joker would knock you out. He was a hitter. He was vicious out there.
Right.
So he got the respect of everybody on Sugar Hill. That's where he lived out there near the brothers.
Right.
He got the respect of everybody out there because he was just so tough.
Okay.
So he was never a punk now.
Yeah, right.
But people ride him about 1989 when the boycott happened with Carlos Hunt and how he was trying to play the son of one of his assistant coaches, and that's what caused that boycott. But Chuck did an outstanding job at Conway High School in terms of his football program, and nobody can take that away from him. And I enjoyed playing for him.
I also had him as a teacher also.
Yeah.
9th grade algebra.
Okay.
I believe it was algebra. I think so. Yeah, I think it was algebra. But I had him the whole year.
And he knew how to relate to the youth. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He was tough now.
I never played for him, but he was a laid back, easy teacher.
Yeah.
He was an easy teacher. I guess his mind was on football.
He's a football guy, man.
Lawrence Mitchell.
Man, one of the greatest athletes to come out of Conway, man. He was the first Jadavian Clowney if he hadn't gotten his knee hurt on the kickoff at USC. And also he was an outstanding basketball player. The brother could have probably gone pro in either football or basketball.
Right.
And it's a shame that he never got the opportunity to display his skills in football and basketball because he was the best player in the state in both his senior year in high school, but he got injured. And then because the boycott shortened his senior year in high school, and the injury at USC, the first dang on play of the game, messed up his knee for college football. And he was one of the and the kind of person that Lawrence is and was. It's just big, gentle giant, man.
Yeah, he was
except on the football field and basketball court. Yeah. He was a gentle giant because the dude was so imposing. He could really crush you with his hands or whatever. But he was a nice guy, very respectful of his elders, respectful of all people. He was just a really nice gentleman. But don't let that fool you because he could hurt you. And he knew he could hurt you. Right. He was athletic, was out of this world on football and basketball.
Funny story about him. I didn't know, besides just seeing him up at the church during the boycott. For one, he was best in football, the #1 recruit in football and basketball, and that's probably never been done.
Right.
I don't know, but I've never heard somebody being the #1 recruit in the nation. Well, I'm not talking about South Carolina, in the nation in football and basketball. But I got to know him later on in life after he came back from Carolina. It was like working on the beach and stuff. His cousin and uncle actually was roommates of theirs. So he would come by and man, they would pick on Lawrence, mess with Lawrence all day long, and I was just like, man, he's bigger than both of them, and he just would never he was just really a nice guy.
Nice guy, man. He grew up humble, man. He was always like that. Except when he got on that field, he was really apart.
Yeah. You should see some of his tape. It's real nasty. Yeah. Is the Conway Myrtle Beach rivalry dead?
Well, because it hadn't been competitive
Hadn't
the
been
past few
competitive.
years, right?
Okay.
And then once the competitive level between both schools come back, then the competition and the rivalry will reignite. But it just hadn't been
Right.
competitive.
And I'm still going on like so. These are just all just
No problem.
basic questions. Is it true that Claflin now is more regarded as a better school to go to than South Carolina State University?
Claflin has done an outstanding job with their institution of upgrading every facet of it. They even increased their funding, and they're buying up property all over Orangeburg, and their students come out as some of the best students in the world, and they're doing an outstanding job. So I'm not going. I don't have nothing negative to say about Claflin. I just think that SC State, we just got up our game.
Right.
And make it a righteous competition. That's all. It's good when we see all other black institutions doing great. So we just gotta meet their effort and supersede it. That's all.
Right. Yeah. Deion Sanders.
Hey man, I like Prime, man. people think he's very brass, but he marketed himself as a college football player to be prime time, but he backed it up. He ain't just talk the talk; he actually walked the walk. There's one thing to talk it.
Right.
There's another thing to walk it. And so he has his whole family doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I'm always glad to see your brothers and sisters doing great, man. As long as they're not harming our people or harming nobody else. Hey, man, more power to you, Deion.
I really love the post that you made when he left
Jackson
State, and everybody was on his back about that.
Yeah.
How you stuck up for him. I remember that.
Wow.
That's why I asked you that question. And that was a couple of years ago, right?
Yes, sir. It's amazing.
So
people be watching your posts like that.
Yeah. Stalking people.
No, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man. Thank you.
On that note, on another black man being a father, putting his kids on, what do you think about LeBron James getting Bronny on?
I love it, man. Because every owner of these major white corporations and sports franchises, their children are right there with them.
Right.
So, Bron, if his son has the skill set, and he's proven that he has the skill set, and it might take him a few more years to develop.
Right.
He's not going to be as great as his father, but who? That's very rare. That comes along every 100-something years, But to see LeBron do that, man, that's what we all need to try to do: put our children on once we get out. Whether it's your business, put your child like you did.
Yeah.
His business, our business. We got to put our. We got to do that. We got to make a way for our own babies.
Exactly. Caitlin Clark. Now this is a question. Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese?
I take Angel Reese, but
Angel Reese.
Caitlin Clark is bringing more money to the WNBA just by her sheer presence.
Right.
Because she is an anomaly, and she is a great white hope. Now, the white folks, they control the finance of this nation. So when they want to put money behind that young white girl who is awesome, she can ball.
She can ball now.
Ain't no doubt about it. Let them do that because it's helping the league out.
Right.
Before Caitlin Clark, they didn't get charter flights.
Right.
They're getting charter flights now.
Right.
And she's bringing money to the league. Go ahead, Caitlin, do your thing, girl.
Yeah. I watched both of them play today. They both came on at 12 o'clock.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
How did they do?
They do the Wednesday early games and stuff. Angel Reese got another double-double. She didn't struggle, but she got another double-double. But she got like a free throw towards the end of the game.
Okay.
That helped her get across. But it was more, they won. It was more a team effort where Caitlin went off. She had, I think she had like 35, 5, and 3 blocks.
Oh, Lord. Let me tell you something. Once that girl get used to playing in that league,
right,
she gonna tear it up, man. That girl bad. You can't take nothing from her.
I saw Caitlin Clark play in high school, and
bad, man.
and she kind of tall. Like I think she may be 6 foot.
Yeah, but she just looks smaller than tall girls out there.
Yeah, you would think she's just some scrawny white girl. She's not.
Caitlin can ball, man.
Yeah, she can ball, and
so got enough praise for her.
Dawn Staley.
Dawn, man.
That's your girl. I know.
Who don't? How can you not love Dawn Staley, brother? Right. She has made such a significant impact on the lives of these young ladies, man, and on this state. I mean, she brings such joy around her. Her whole circle of sphere of influence is just powerful.
Right.
She brings such love everywhere she goes, and I love that sister, man. I never met her personally,
right?
But I love Dawn Staley because of the way she impacts people around her to be more positive in their communities, in their lives, and in the lives of others. Her players, all of them, they actually allow her spirit to shine through them. And thank you, Don, for all that you've been doing in this state, sister. You made South Carolina a more wonderful place to live.
Right.
Go Lady Gamecocks. Y'all keep doing what y'all doing.
Give me a top 5. We're gonna go basketball. I know you played football, but
Yeah.
you probably was an athlete, all around athlete.
Yeah, but I didn't play basketball.
Okay, but let's not
Let's
do
do
basketball.
basketball. Let's do basketball. Let's
Give
go
me your
ahead.
top 5 basketball.
In what? College, high school,
Pro.
pro? But I know the Lakers didn't do much because LeBron did. That's gonna be one of my tops, man. I like the Lakers. I like Knicks. I like Golden State. Of course, I'm liking them because of the personality and the players that's on there.
Right.
Shoot, I like the way my boy Ja Morant plays. So I got to give him some props.
He's gonna get it together too.
But as far as teams,
Right.
man, them young boys, they showing out, man, and I don't know. I want to see LeBron win another one before he
Right.
goes, but them young boys, man, they balling out.
So you're a Laker guy.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Laker guy.
Magic or Kareem?
Magic.
Jordan or LeBron?
Dog. George, just because he set the standard so high.
All right. Who's the best defensive player in the NFL of all time?
All time?
All time.
God, dog. We got, ooh. Man. I don't know, man. Lawrence Taylor was hell, bro.
Lawrence Taylor. That's what I was thinking too.
Lawrence Taylor. Ray Lewis bad boy too, but Lawrence Taylor?
I was thinking Lawrence Taylor too. Who's the best running back you ever seen?
Damn, quite a few of them, man. Damn.
Wasn't OJ?
OJ was bad, no doubt. But he was bad in his time. That's hard, man.
All right, we'll pass on.
That's hard. All right, so
Spike Lee or Tyler Perry?
Spike Lee.
Spike Lee.
Yeah.
I kind of figured you'd say that.
Yeah.
And
Spike Lee gave us some movies to make us think about being conscious of our communities and how we function in our environments. So
and before we shout out your organization again, I got one last question.
yes, sir.
The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan or Martin Luther King Jr., who would you had to follow one of them?
I consider that rather bad to be Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I think his message is balanced. I can't follow. I mean, I love Dr. Martin Luther King and what he
Right.
did and the sacrifices that he made, but I'm not nonviolent.
Right.
I'm violent with those who are violent with me. I'm not going to turn my other cheek and let you beat the hell out of me after you kick me. That's not happening. But I think, and the reason why I say Minister Farrakhan, his message is even keel. His message is a message of righteousness, where you do no harm to no human being.
Right.
Unless your life is being threatened. Unless somebody's attacking you, unless you're being aggressed upon. I like that message better. Yeah. I mean, him and Martin Luther King, they talk the same about love, but he never tells us to love our enemies.
Right.
But not to be unjust to our enemies.
Gotcha.
See, so we got to treat every human being the way you like to be treated. That's the minister's message.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't let nobody attack you.
Right.
And you don't fight like hell to defend the life that God gave you. So that's a disrespect to God, black people, when you won't even fight to defend your own doggone life because you think you're doing God a disservice by breaking somebody's jaw when they put their hands on you. That's not what God is not some punk that will sit around and let you beat the heck out of him. So my brother told me not to say hell no more, so I'm trying to clean up the language. But so we got to understand God better, brothers and sisters. And I think black people, once we understand God better, we'll straighten up our communities, we'll straighten up our oppressors who oppress us. We'll make our communities a safe and decent place to live. We'll treat our women better because no child comes on this earth except through the womb of a woman. So when you disrespect the woman, you disrespect yourself and you disrespect the God that made you because that's the vessel of how you got here. So let's try to understand the mind of God a lot better than we do right now, and not walk around thinking that God is some softy that allow folks to beat the hell out of him and he don't strike back when it's necessary. So let's have a balanced view of God, and then we have a balanced view of one another. So since I understand God, I know God is in you, and you. I'm not going to try to do anything that's going to make you get so upset that you want to attack me.
Right.
Because I done upset God about him. Did you wrong?
Right.
I done upset God, the God in you, the God in him, the God in him. We got to understand what we do when we disrespect each other as men, brothers. You ain't disrespecting that brother. You're just not disrespecting him. You're disrespecting the God in him, thus disrespecting yourself. So let's have a better view of the power and the righteousness and the wrath of God in each other, then we'll treat each other a lot better.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was supposed to ask you one question before that, and I know I'm short on time, but I'm gonna get that one in, and then I'm gonna let you shout out your organization again. I was supposed to ask you, Bill Clinton or Barack Obama?
I'm gonna say Barack, brother. He was our first black president. I can't say nothing negative about that brother like that.
So Bill Clinton wasn't the first black president.
Yeah, he was the. that's what we was calling him, because he could play the saxophone. You know, nah, he was never the first black president for me. But Barack Obama, Barack, man, I think Barack, if he was not hamstrung by the powers and the principalities and the spiritual wickedness in high places that surrounded him,
right,
I think he would have been an even better president. But once you get in that seat of power, you don't really run that. I mean, there's powers around the seat of the presidency that we don't see, but they feel it once they get in there. And if you don't do the will of those that really have the power, they'll take you out of that power like they did John F. Kennedy.
Right.
So I think what Barack did, just his presence in that seat, lifted the veil off a lot of young black men and women's minds that they could be whatever they want to be in life.
But we got to get you to come back. But then I wanted to add, when you were saying that, and then something just came to my mind, and I wanted to touch on that too, just real quick. Can you explain to me, so throughout my history on this earth, or what I learned in school and everything, everybody that tried to help black people were either assassinated or it was an attempted assassination. And I mean, you know the inner and outs of a lot more stuff than I do. But I wonder why, and what's your take on this, why as powerful as Barack Obama and the minister, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan was, why no one ever took a shot at them?
Well, I can tell you why they didn't take a shot at the minister, and I'll give you the reason why I think they didn't take a shot at Barack, and I think they did send Barack messages. I don't think people realize that a couple of times his wife and children were on another airplane, because there was Air Force One, and then there's also other Air Force planes that they call have another name that they fly the parents or the children on sometimes separate from the father. Well, I know a couple of times they almost flew. And they reported it, but they didn't report it in mass. That Michelle Obama and her children's plane into a damn mountain. And that almost happened twice. Wow. And I guess at that time they were sending him a message, and they can do that. And you do this, we kill your family members. So I think he had to start doing exactly what those powers and principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places want him to do, to make sure that they get what they want out of him, and so they can throw the stone and he's the face of it so they can hide their hand. And in terms of the minister, I've heard people say that a lot. Every black man that was stood up for black folk was killed, except Farrakhan. He even say all this stuff. Well, hell, we think the white man got more power than the supreme being? We don't think the supreme being is strong enough to protect a man that he raises up to defend his people? Right. So we give the white man too much credit when we think that he can just come in and kill a man that God raised up for the people. So that's insanity, black folks. You think white men are God besides God, that they got the dang on power to kill a man that God raised up for you. Right. So don't think just because he ain't dead, right, that he must be working for them behind the scenes. That's foolishness, man. That's foolishness, brothers and sisters. Y'all got to stop thinking like that. You deify the white man. I was saying something else. You deify him to the point where you think he got all power in his hand, that he can just kill anybody he wants to. But they understand something. They know that they when they make that move, that something else gonna happen to them.
Right.
They're not the supreme being, brothers. We have a supreme being, and he don't look like them.
Right.
And that's what some of us know, and we ain't afraid to say that. That's why we still here.
And then I missed another question. That's a perfect answer, though. But you know I was going with that. Well, Jesus, was he black or white?
Historically, he was black. And prophetically, he's black.
Right.
So that's two different Jesuses.
Right.
Yeah, he's black. He said the Bible said he had hair like lamb's wool.
Right.
You know, I ain't got none because I cut it off, but you
Right.
got some.
Yeah.
Feet like brass. Well, brass is dark. You burn it, anything is gonna turn dark. Burn it in an oven. It's telling you what color he is.
Man.
And his eyes was a flaming fire because he was angry as hell at the wicked for what they've been doing on the earth. So on his return, it says that Jesus had a sword in his hand dripping with blood. So don't talk to me about Jesus love everybody. He don't.
Right.
When he gets mad, his wrath is kindled. He takes revenge. That's why he said, vengeance is mine.
That's right.
And that's coming. That's coming. It might be here now.
There you go. Well, man, I want to thank you for coming on. And, man, I got everything I thought I would get, and I appreciate that. And my people got everything that they should get. Very nourishing, great conversation. We got to get you back on here because I got a lot more questions because while you were talking, other things started coming to my head. And I'm going to get into that the next time that we talk. But can you shout out Vision Walkers again and tell everybody how they follow you? And
no doubt. Thank you, brother.
No problem.
Sharif, I really appreciate you, brother, and I appreciate your family, your mother,
Man, I appreciate
your
we appreciate
parents,
you too.
everybody, man. And
Yes,
we
sir.
love y'all, man. And thank you for having me on
Thank
your
you.
show.
God bless you.
Big shout out to Vision Walkers, brothers and sisters. Please go to www.visionwalkers.com. www.visionwalkers.com. Myself and a beautiful young brother named Jason Belton helped to start that organization, and one of our mottos is uniting the streets with the sweets. And we have done an outstanding job by the grace of God in doing that here in South Carolina and other areas throughout the country. So when we unite the streets with the sweets, we can get so much done as a people. We don't need that division. We don't need the sweets thinking because they're educated that they got more power and juice than the streets. It's the streets that give the sweets the power because it's the streets are the ones that protested and marched with Dr. Martin Luther King and stood with the Nation of Islam and the Black Panther Party and others that made them such a viable opponent against our enemies that wanted to crush us. So don't ever turn your back on the streets. Once you get to the sweets, unite with the streets so that will empower our people in our communities to get more power, tangible factors of power to make our communities a more safe, decent, and prosperous place to live. Thank you, brothers and sisters. I love you all. May God be with you. Peace out.
Peace.